Hi guys, what's up? My name is Evan, and today we're going to be talking about the main sections of a digital synthesizer. Now, here we have Massive, which is a third-party synthesizer by Native Instruments, which we have loaded on a MIDI track in Ableton Live. And we're going to be looking at the main sections of this instrument. So the first section we're going to be looking at is the oscillator section. Now, Massive has 3 oscillators, all customizable on the left-hand side of the panel. And the first thing we can do to shape our sound is select the source of these generators. So we can switch through the different waveforms of its oscillator just by clicking on the drop down menu and selecting one of these. Now some of them are presets, some of them are just basic waveforms like square, saw, or sine waves. And some else have more complicated sounds, like, let's say this one. Sounds like this. Or let's grab another one. Just a grown one. So the first thing to note here is that on its oscillator we have an amplifier, an intensity, which I'm going to demonstrate you what it does right now. So we loaded up a square saw oscillator, which we can blend between these two with this position knob. So all the way to the left we get a square, all the way to the right we get a sawtooth wave. Now the intensity just controls the way these sounds behave. So on a full intensity, on a square wave we got something like that, halfway down, and all the way down. It behaves more like a filter, and it controls how all these oscillators blend together. Now the second section of the synthesizer is the filter section, which is right here. So we got 2 filters, and we can choose the type of filter to use between low pass, band pass, whole pass, notch filters, and all the usual filters you can find on a synthesizer. Now if we choose a low pass filter, we get all the parameters above the knobs. So we get a cutoff filter, which controls the amount of high frequencies that pass through the filter. We get a resonance knob, and we get a knob that we can use as we like with the rest of the parameters from the synthesizer. Now, in order to route the oscillators through the filters, we get a slider here that we can choose with which we can choose to route the oscillators all the way to filter 1, filter 2, or somewhere in between. So if we choose a low pass filter here and a daft filter here, and having set the oscillator halfway through the filters, let's disable these, and we play the sound. We can see that the sound from the oscillator is routed through both filters in parallel, and then it's routed out to the amplifier and then to the master. Now the third most important section of the synthesizer is the amplifier, which is simply an envelope of how the sound behaves. It's got a standard pan control and the master knob, which controls the output volume. Now, in order to where it gets interesting with this synthesizer is that you can control all of these parameters with envelopes and LFOs. Now, what an envelope is simply an attack, decay, sustain, release control. So we got the usual attack, decay, which controls how fast the sound passes into the release phase, a release knob here. And in order to route these envelopes and to apply them to the parameter we want, we have to drag the envelope all the way to the filter, let's say. So if we have a filter all the way down and drag this number all the way up, this envelope, the first envelope we've dragged, is applied to the filter, and so we see that it slowly opens and then it fades back to its position. So if we play the back, We can see how this affects the filter cutoff, and the same can be applied to the oscillator's amplifier. So if we raise the cutoff all the way up and drag the envelope onto the amplifier all the way down and raise that, we can hear the effect. Now the last important part of the synthesizer is the LFO. Now what an LFO stands for is low frequency oscillator. What that does is it's not audible, so what it does is it controls the parameters and add movement to any parameter we want. So an LFO will have a curve like that, like a sine wave or a square wave, and we can assign these parameters, let's say, to the filter, which is the most common usage of LFOs, in order to control its movement. So if we change that to sync and change its rate to 1/8, we can drag the LFO to the filter like so, and control how much movement the filter gets between its open position and its closed position. So let's drag this. So we can customize it by dragging it up or down. And these LFOs can be assigned to virtually any parameter in the synthesizer. So if we delete that from here and drag it over to the resonance parameter, have its resonance like that. It's one of the most important aspects of digital synthesizers, just because it can add movement and vibration to any parameter we want, and this helps make any track or mix have a bit of breath into it. So yes, I guess that sums it up for the most important parts of a synthesizer. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something new, and feel free to add any comments.